And really, who can tell the difference anymore? You probably have no idea. In fact, if you're over the age of about 35, or you haven't spent the last few years on a college campus, on Twitter, or in an asylum, and really, who can tell the difference anymore? You probably have no idea why this book is called Triggered. Allow me to explain. Today, as it appears on the internet at least, the term trigger warning is used to describe something, say a tweet from my dad, that blows up the fragile sensibilities of the liberal Twitterverse. At the very least, it sets their hair on fire and creates minor news stories for a few days. But, at the worst, it moves them to real-life outrage and organized violence. And before you ask, the freaking out is wildly disproportionate. While conservatives usually get worked up over important things such as the killing of babies or the stripping away of our natural rights as human beings, with liberals, the triggers tend to be much sillier. If you say capitalism is better than socialism, they freak out. If my father says America is the greatest country in the world, they lose it. If you tell them the cat video they posted isn't cute, they have a complete breakdown. With every passing day, the bar for what's considered triggering gets lower and lower. For example, have you ever asked someone where they're from? Well, according to liberals, you can't do that anymore. It's called a microaggression. Don't worry, I'll explain these terms as we go. And when Robert Mueller says the President of the United States is not an agent of Russia, which, call me crazy, seems as though it should be good news for everyone, they melt down and console each other like they did when they found out Al Franken was a creepy pervert. So because my book will contain sections with a number of these so-called dangerous ideas, I thought it best to include a little warning of my own. Though it isn't illegal yet to discuss triggering ideas like in this book, who knows where we'll be by the time it goes to print. I could be brought up on charges just for having an opinion, or a picture of myself on the cover. Your trigger warning. Do not continue listening to this book if you don't like conservative ideas, or if the thought of hearing bad words scares you. Do not continue listening if you don't have a sense of humor or are American, but somehow magically Donald Trump is not your president. Also, if you find any of the following even remotely offensive: patriotism, masculinity, hunting, MAGA hats, the American flag, guns, sex, religion, Roseanne Barr, criticism of stupid ideas, capitalism, skyscrapers, or the use of the word Christmas during the Christmas season, then you should definitely stop listening. In fact, if you're a dyed-in-the-wool liberal or social justice warrior, why don't you go ahead and stop listening altogether? Just stop listening and see if you can get a refund. Better yet, buy it and throw it in the proverbial digital recycling bin, if that makes you feel better. Either way, you'll be engaging in capitalism, which is a good thing, whether you like it or not. Are they gone? Good. I thought I'd have to break out my MAGA hat. Now that it's just you and me, my fellow patriots, Trump-supporting Americans, and those from the Whisper campaign who actually like our president but are afraid to tell people, I think we can finally get down to the heart of this book. Things have gotten way out of control in this country. We've elected socialists to our Congress, allowed anti-Semitism to run rampant throughout our government, and allowed our most important media institutions to be run by angry mobs and leftist activist, quote, journalists on Twitter. Worst of all, we've completely ceded control of what we can and cannot say in public to the left, who are just a bunch of oversensitive crybabies who find everything offensive. If a liberal declares that something is racist, it is. If a liberal says he or she is offended by something, that thing, no matter what it is suddenly unspeakable. My father says a place is infested with rats. The mob cries racism. My father says he likes taco bowls from Trump Tower. The left cries racism. Since my father announced his run for the presidency, screaming racism has become the easy button of left-wing politics, just like in those old Staples commercials. It's the liberal trump card, if you will. Facts aren't working for you? Racist. Math is hard? It's racist, obviously. The problem with using racism as a label for everything you don't like, of course, is that racism is still a real problem that persists in this country. Not nearly to the extent that the left would have you believe, of course, but it's